Like, I'm exceptionally low on Anthony Davis. Like, I'm just crazy low on AD.
Why?
And because
this is insane. Wait, can you say where you have him? He's 18?
Okay, as Matt's about to look up a number here, remember, guys, as you're watching this, we're talking about 1 through 64 in the NBA individual rankings. So what number do you have Anthony Davis at?
I have 88.
One-on-one tournament.
I have him 18th.
18th, which means there's 17 better one-on-one players in the NBA. We're talking about arguably the most talented basketball player on earth. Not most valuable, not the best, but in terms of sheer talent, Anthony Davis may be up there. So please try and
Didn't Kareem last night say that AD is a better version than me on Twitter?
Yeah, but Kareem's teammates also hated him. That's in a lot of books if you read that up. And Kareem's got a lot of ideas. I wouldn't go that way. Okay. I do not think that AD is the 18th best NBA player. Let's be clear. I think AD is a top 5 NBA player. I think AD is a phenomenal NBA player because when you set him up as the tip of the spear, he's killer. Like short jumpers off the pick and pop, being able to roll to the rim. He's obviously really, really versatile defensively, although he's a little overstated in that capacity, if we're going to be honest. Like people talk about him for DPOY. No. I was going to have a whole post on this at the end of the year, and then the end of the year never came. Davis is incredible. He's awesome. He's amazing. He's also grew up with the mindset of a guard. He was a guard until he hit his growth spurt. And as a result, he did not grow up as a big. He grew up as a guard, and he has guard sensibilities, which is why in the post, he almost always goes to these fadeaway turnarounds, and his numbers are actually really poor there. If you look at his numbers are actually really poor in those one-on-one situations. You get him off of a roll where the defense is trying to scramble back, and he's 7 feet tall shooting over you. Yeah, he's going to nail him every time. He's amazing in that capacity. I do not like him having to go one-on-one versus the entire range of our field. Is he going to kill Trae Young? Yeah, he's going to kill Trae Young. He's going to kill Lou Williams? Yeah, he's going to kill Lou Williams. That's absolutely true. But, I think Kawhi is going to be able to hang with him. I think Kawhi is going to give him a hard time. He doesn't like physicality. We saw that all throughout this year. The first Clippers matchup, they guard him with JaMychal Green. He's fading away every single time in single coverage. Mears, your entire thing is basically, are you tall? Are you really good? Okay, you're in my top 5 now. And no, I'm sorry. These games are more complicated than that. I'm not saying Davis can't win. He's incredible. And I'm sure 2K is going to overrate him in this sense. But when I looked at this, the entirety of his package, from what I have watched from him all these years, there's also a reason that he never was able to drag those teams in New Orleans very far. And a lot of that comes down to him needing other guys around him to set him up. He is a tip of the spear. He is not a one-on-one guy. LeBron James is going to annihilate him.
You have Jaylen Brown over Anthony Davis.
All right, that may have been a mistake.
It's too late for that. So let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Support you in the fact that I do agree that Anthony Davis can get bodied in the post, right? He's proven to be fragile. I'm with you there. That can come back to hurt you in a one-on-one game if somebody like a Jokic or an Embiid decides to say, you're going to have to bang with me for 11 points. I'll agree with you there. But the contradictory point to that is Anthony Davis did grow up as a point guard. So you think, well, he's got these perimeter tendencies. He doesn't want to bang. He has the ability at times to dribble like a point guard because he's been a point guard his entire life. So is he good enough on the perimeter as a massive human being with ridiculous wingspans and creativity to supersede what can potentially happen in the post? That's why number 18 is difficult for me.
I also have one more thing. Justin, how many games do we think, because we did this based off of real life and not basing it off of what the 2K Sim's going to say. How many games is Anthony Davis actually finishing without having to leave with an injury? Answer.
It's a 2K Sim, buddy.
No.
100%.
We didn't. No, our instructions were to not factor in the 2K Sim because otherwise we all know who we would have number 1 based off of what we looked at. Okay? Mears, how many times is Anthony Davis in a one-on-one game having to bang bodies? How many times is he finishing the basketball game?
To be fair, okay.
0%.
The Burning Money gift guys have been in, nonstop work the last couple seasons, but he's been actually good this season. He hasn't gone to the locker room a ton. We have not had to schedule that tweet that much. He's been a lot better in terms of, durability. He's probable every single game. They'll list he'll be on the injury list as probable every game in play. But, to be fair, he's actually improved in terms of, not going to the locker room every other game.
All right, so let's talk about another controversial guy. I think maybe one of the guys who was most challenging for us to rank. A guy who probably a year ago would have been surefire number one for me. No question. Over Kawhi. It's a different story now. KD. Rob, I'm sure you had some challenge. I think you were the lowest on him of the group.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on KD and ranking him?
Okay, so let's talk Durant. So the context of this tournament that we are creating, I don't even like to call it a tournament. I like to call it King of the Hill. So King of the Hill is happening in a world that it is, let's say, August 1st, 2020. Kevin Durant is able to come back and compete, let's say, at the maximum effort level that he's possible to. The problem is that he will, in my opinion, he will never be fully healthy. He'll be 85% of what he was. And I'm using precedents to get to that point. Mehmet Okur, LaFonso Ellis, Rudy Gay, Wes Matthews, Kobe Bryant, Elton Brand. How many names do I have to list off the top of my head of former NBA players who tore their Achilles and could never come back? The only man that ever was near 100% of his potential was Dominique Wilkins, and that was at the very, very beginning of his career. No, stop waving your finger at me, Matt, because Kevin Durant has a CVS receipt of lower leg injuries from his knee all the way down to his foot, in addition to the Achilles. I don't want to take away from the fact of how good Kevin Durant is, because Kevin Durant at 85% is still probably going to start in the All-Star game and is a top 10 NBA player. But where Kevin Durant was right before that Achilles injury occurred, he was so good that we were having the conversation of if we need to remove the 1A, 1B tag from LeBron and KD, and if we need to sit down and start having a legitimate discussion on has the torch been passed in terms of the best superstar basketball player in the NBA. Nobody comes back from an Achilles injury at 100%. So because of that, I think he's still going to live up to his maximum potential available to him, which makes him about the 18th best player in a one-on-one situation. I don't think he can elevate. I don't think he'll be able to get to the rim. I'm looking at Dirk in circa 2012, 2013, coming off the championship run in terms of maximum potential from him. God bless his soul. He's still great, but he can't be the number one player in the world anymore.
All right, chat. Let's say this tournament is hosted January 2021. So KD's back, but it's been just a couple months. Where is he in this ranking? I want to get chat's thoughts. Matt, what were you going to say about KD?
Oh, I was going to say, basically my thing is I had him number one. I wanted to say for the record, I had him number one before, like, Wab was very big on this idea. And so we agreed that we were like, okay, we're going to consider that he's coming back and we're going to rank him as if he's injured, even though the Sims are not going to take accounting for it. And like, this is just an inherent problem with this tournament that we're trying to do. Like, the situation's just difficult because we have no record of what KD looks like. If this tournament was happening a year from now, the Sim ratings are going to reflect what KD looks like then, and we'd have a clear knowledge. I will say this though. One of the things that I've held on to is, okay, Neek was the best player to come back from it. Is Kevin Durant a better player than Neek was? We know that yes. Like, we know that Kevin Durant is in the top, like 2% of all NBA players all time. Like, he's going to probably go down. Like, he has a legit chance of going down as an absolute all-time player. I also, I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Like, that's a choice that I want to make. Now, I still have him 10 because I went back and I was like, okay, I shouldn't because of the Achilles and the history of the injury. I should do the responsible thing to drop him. But I think honestly, probably fans rating a 6 is probably a little bit better for where he should be, especially because even if the Achilles is a problem, so much of what he's going to be able to do is just post up, face up, little jumper, shoot over guys. And that's going to get him through 3 rounds of this thing, depending on the matchups. He might have trouble, but if he doesn't run into an Omega wing, he's going to have a really good chance of advancing. And that probably needs to be factored into the analysis as well.
Can I just say that people are in the comments saying that he could still beat 95% of the league? That's exactly what I'm saying about Kevin Durant. Stop saying that I'm capping because he could still beat 95% of the league. You're just spitting facts. That's why I have him at number 18. But he's not better than 99.5% of the league, like he was in the past. He's better than 95% of the league in 1% situations.
Jay Fan, where were you on KD?
I mean, I think his lead and his game makes this it makes me a little bit more optimistic about his chances of coming back and reclaiming the top 5. I think he had just a tremendous lead on the field that even, you take away 5-10% of his effectiveness. I think, when I'm my exercise with him was just kind of going down the list, like one player by one player. Like, do I really think this player could beat even slightly diminished KD? No. I think his skill set won't be too dramatically affected. Just him being able to shoot over everybody, his jump shot, his ability to score, his versatility. I think those things are still going to be extremely effective, and to where I don't think I'm going to punish him as much as Wob did in this situation.
All right, let's run through a couple more guys in chat. Look through our rankings and tell us what you think is the worst ranking by any of us, and we'll talk about it. It's probably going to be a Matt Moore ranking. Let's talk about Zion. I was the highest on him at number 10, and I had to control myself because I wanted to go even higher. This dude is 350 pounds. He might be the strongest guy in the NBA right now. He has the same skill set as a lot of these guys that we like. Obviously, he's not like Ben Simmons dribbling the ball, but like has guard skills, can get to the basket. I mean, I'm not sure any guard is beating him, and we have guards significantly over him.
But the Ben Simmons rule doesn't apply to Zion here for me.
Why?
Because
Defensively.
Because he's not 6'11". He can't he doesn't have the physicality. He can bang around the rim. All he needs to do is just throw the thing at the rim and let's play a game of let's go catch it. But this man went 4.5 games without making a single 3-pointer. At least Ben Simmons doesn't shoot him.
Yeah.
How do you can slump off of Zion and not get punished in the same way that Giannis and Ben Simmons can punish you against Zion?
Yeah. All I'm saying is that we're so high on Kyrie because he's this amazing finisher, and Zion literally might be the best finisher in NBA history.
Kyrie's handles are the reason why he's that high for me. He's the best, handles of any player possibly I've ever seen, and his ability to break down one-on-one is just on another level. So that's why for me he's on that level. Defensively, Zion too. I mean that's a big differentiator between putting him in that Tatum, Siakam, Ben Simmons tier is defensively. I just don't think he can hold his own quite like those guys can from point guard to traditional big. I just don't think he has that type of versatility defensively that those other guys do.
Fair. I mean, I think he has that upside for sure. He's smaller, but I mean, the dude is just so big. I mean, he's essentially playing center, for some of these lineups for the Pelicans. And I mean,
I have to interject here because someone just asked, why is Triple J on this list? How did Jaren Jackson Jr. make the list? I'm the reason. Because I'm so biased towards point forward, oversized, athletic wingspan dudes. And Jaren Jackson Jr. has the biggest
forward.
Jaren Jackson Jr. can handle the basketball. I'm sorry. There's no stats to back me up. I just know what I'm seeing here. And when you have the ability, you're going up against the likes of – I would take – gun to my head, I would take Jaren Jackson Jr. against Trae Young 1,000 times out of 1,000 just because of the matchup. So one-on-one, again, is such a different sport in the fact that Jaren doesn't need to be able to go Kyrie on you to win a one-on-one matchup. He's just going to turn around, back you down, and shoot over you. He's one of the very few guys that has that type of wingspan and athleticism that he could just baby hook teardrop from 7 feet. I think he'd make a great one-on-one player simply because of his drop step and his defense. The guy can lock down anyone. There's no referees to foul him out in 15 minutes like he does in normal games. That's my defense for having him in there because I am super biased towards dudes with unprecedented athleticism.
This big Anthony Randolph guy? Is that
of course. Tyrese Thomas.
I love Jaren Jackson. He'd be way better than Anthony Randolph. I just wanted that to make clear.
Tyrese
By the way,
Stromae Swift.
Jaren Jackson this year is shooting 43% in the post. That's 26th percentile on synergy.
Stats don't matter regarding Jaren Jackson Jr. or Kyrie Irving. We could be doing a whole nother Periscope here on why we have Kyrie so high. I've told you I was just biased towards athletic swingmen that can guard 1 through 5. Yet I have Kyrie Irving towards the top because Kyrie is just that different in terms of one-on-one ability. Good luck ever getting him to turn the ball over.
Let's see what happens. I need to talk about Drew Holiday. There's a lot of comments in the chat about Drew Holiday. So I started picking up on this. I asked Andre Iguodala a couple of years ago. I did back in like Andre's prime. In 2013, I did a sit down with Iguodala over at CBS, and I asked him to sit down and like go through clips. As part of the interview process, I asked him, I was like, who's the best defender, like 90 feet in the NBA, like end to end? Who's the best defender one-on-one? And I was like giving him basically a softball to be like, well, it's me. And he was like, it's Drew Holiday. There's no question it's Drew Holiday. And I was like, what? He's like, that guy is insane. Go watch and see what he does defensively, possession by possession. So I started like paying attention, and he's right. Like Drew's insane one-on-one. It's a real knock against Gentry's systemic defense in New Orleans that they're as bad as they are defensively, because Drew is honestly, he's all defense worthy every single season based off of what he does one-on-one. Now, one-on-one in terms of offense is going to be the question, right? Like it's Drew Holiday. Drew's one of those guys that plays to whatever is around him. Like he plays to what his team needs. Here's the number that really stood out to me. And this has been a consistent number, not just this year, but throughout his career. Okay. The synergy numbers, I'm not saying are the Bible, but they're a supporting element if it backs up your eye test. And like I've gone through and I watched a lot, and Drew's exceptional on the eye test when you watch him one-on-one. And minimum 50 attempts, Drew Holiday has the third best points per possession mark this season in isolation. He's shooting 51% in ISO with a 59% EFG. The guy can score at all three levels because he's super efficient. He's comfortable in this situation a lot more than he plays in New Orleans, because I think versus multi-level defense, yeah, he's not LeBron. He's not any of these top-level guys. But one-on-one, I genuinely think that Drew Holiday, because of his length, athleticism, defensive acumen, he's going to be a nightmare against anybody with a weak handle. He's stronger than most give him credit for. He's going to contest. Yeah, he might get like nailed by Karl Anthony Towns in the post or something. I don't know. But I did want to respect him enough to give him the credit of putting him where I did.
All right, so let's talk about it. So that data, he's been really good this year. Let's look the year before. He's like 30th percentile. So let's expand the sample size here a little bit just to get some clarification. Also, what defender is guarding Drew Holiday on New Orleans this year? Is he getting the third or fourth best defender?
No. What? No. Drew Holiday's usually getting either the best or the second best, depending on Ingram.
You're having the best wing defenders in the league, and they're not playing on Zion and Ingram.
The NBA, like if you ask the NBA guy, if you ask players, a lot of them are going to say, no, you got to shut down Drew because Drew's the engine. Like that's what they're going to say. They're going to say you got to put somebody on Drew because otherwise Drew will you up. That's what they're going to say.
Did you have this conversation before or after Zion though?
I had before. Like I think Zion, but here's the other thing. What defender are you going to put on Drew instead of Zion?
Nobody.
Like they're two entirely different physical mechanisms, right? Like you're not going to put a guard on Zion, and you're never going to put a center on Drew. By the way, Drew was 81st percentile 2 years ago, Mears. So I've done the research. Why don't you go back to watching Kemba highlights and be done trying to bring back data on me. Thanks.
He's good every other year. Every other. This is his year. Drew's fine. I think we're like pulling him out of a hat because of his stats. When like I don't think there's a huge difference between like him and some of these other guys in the sort
You said LeVert would beat him. You said you'd take LeVert.
No, I said that it's not that big of a difference. I have Drew over LeVert. I don't think it's a huge difference. I don't think the difference between him and Donovan Mitchell or SGA is that huge of a difference, honestly.
Let's go to another one that's really interesting. I want to get everybody's thoughts on Steph.
All right, Jeff. J-Fan is the Steph whisper expert.
I mean, I'm curious to see why you guys are so low on him. I mean,
you're the highest, I think, right?
Yeah, but I don't even feel that I'm that aggressive on him. I feel defensively he can still hold his own. I don't think he's a plus defender, but he's slightly below average and he's got good length.
Wob is by far the lowest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious there. I mean, maybe it's like recency bias. We haven't seen him in so long. In this format, you have threes worth more than usual. I mean, they're worth 2 times the amount of twos, as opposed to 1.5. So what's the argument of penalizing him kind of excessively? Like we talked about this a little while, but I think you kind of put Steph in that Trey bucket where you think he's going to just get exposed and torched defensively. But I think, Steph could be close to average, slightly below average defense. He has enough size to not get just totally punished by bigger.
You're taking my entire argument, first of all. So you gotta let me defend myself. All right. So first of all, this is one-on-one and it's about matchups. And the reason why I had him low is because I'm prioritizing those swingmen I've been talking about all night, and because he will get destroyed by anyone that can play positions 1 through 5 just based on the structure of one-on-one. Yes, Steph Curry is going to torch other point guards, which include the Lillards, the Kembas, the Trae Youngs. Steph's ability in shooting prowess, unprecedented, incredible. We could talk about that forever. He's also going to burn, like, who is Nikola Jokic going to guard in this tournament? Is there a single possession where someone's not going to get a wide open look against Nikola Jokic? Like, God bless him. He's fun to watch. But in a one-on-one tournament, Steph is going by him or getting a wide open 3 every single time.
I feel bad for Jokic. I kept on moving him down.
The NBA has shifted so far into this positionless basketball. There is just a plethora. There's an arsenal, a war chest of the Siakams, the Tatums, the Simmons, the Giannis, even guys like the Hardens, 6'8" dudes that can guard all of these positions out on the perimeter without any help. So I'm worried about Steph in a tournament like this getting to the point of a Sweet 16 because he's not beating Pascal Siakam in a game of one-on-one. I will bet anyone in this chat, whatever, Periscope, that you put them one-on-one on a court, even in a video game, there's just too much athleticism for Steph to ever get an open shot or defend against. How would he ever defend against getting back down? That's my thing here. It's just a systematic. It has nothing to do with Steph the player. Steph the player is great, but he's not going to be great when what exposes it, what like his deficiencies are, get exposed in a game of one-on-one.
I mean, I'm curious why you would have guys like Levine or Karis LeVert over Steph. I mean, I also have Siakam over Steph, so I don't think that's, I don't think we're in disagreement there. But ranking, Levine and LeVert over Steph is
because they're getting bunnies. They're getting bunnies against Steph when Steph's going to have to be earning every single point that he gets. He can catch fire. He can maybe even get to the rim from time to time. But Levine and Karis LeVert, they're getting layups against Steph all night. There's no shot clock. They can go out there and work. They can back him down. They're going to be getting layups against that dude, and there's nothing he can do to stop him if they get within 4 feet, because then he's got a rebound. It's not happening. Yeah, I'll take all of your silence as a –
Oh, I'm with you. No, I'm with you. Okay. You should reconsider your position because we agree.
Okay, good.
Cool. Who are we missing? Who do we want to talk about? You want to talk about Lou?
Kristaps.
All right, let's talk about Kristaps, Matt.
Yeah, so this kind of goes to the AD thing. I just don't know. Look, I think that
you think he should be in the G League. Let's just throw that out there.
No, I think he's fine. He's I think of him the same way that you think of actually good players. I think, look, a lot of it's like Kristaps. You talk about knee injuries. Like Kristaps' knee injury history is a nightmare, right? Like the mobility is just not the same as it was when he was a kiddo. A lot of Kristaps' success this season is because he's next to Luka. And like AD, this is like a perfect thing of look, if you put Kristaps where he's tip of the spear and he's the one that's finishing plays, that's a great situation for him. But one of the things that's been there was a whole conversation going on this season about Kristaps and whether he should play in the post, and all the analytic wonks were like, he can't score there. He's terrible there. And the scouts were that way. Rick Carlisle's that's not an efficient shot for us if Kristaps is playing in the post. I just don't know what Kristaps he can. A lot of this is if he gets the right series of matchups, when we do the bracket, if he winds up somehow facing 3 small dudes, then sure, he can go on a run. But I like all of the big wings that he'll probably eventually have to play against him. I've always thought that he was an underrated interior defender and an overrated perimeter defender. I think you can get by him easier than people realize. A lot of the coverages that both the Knicks and the Mavericks have used have been to accommodate his lack of perimeter speed. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying that if he's having to guard Damian Lillard on the outside, he's going to have a big problem there. Now, look, he's just going to back Dame down and probably score on him every time because it is that much of a size differential. But versus anybody that's got any muscle whatsoever, I think Kristaps is going to have a really hard time. And he's another guy that I think is going to opt for the worst shot rather than pursuing what he should be going for. I don't trust Kristaps Porzingis to take the best shot possible.
He does that in real games anyway.
Right.
Yeah. This is the problem with this thing. It's not a problem. It's just the difficulty of this exercise is that this is the most matchup dependent thing in the entire world. This is the most matchup tournament I've ever seen.
So is the playoffs.
Sure, yeah, sure. I mean, same sort of idea, but it's just like when I was getting down to my rankings, you have your like top 10, top 20 that's pretty set in stone. Those are the guys who like are good in any matchups. But then every other guy, it's like he would win against this guy who's 20 spots behind him or ahead of him, but the same guy right beside him, he could lose to pretty easily. It's like big versus small. It's like that's the issue, honestly. Like OG Anunoby, like I have him in my rankings. You guys don't have him at all. Like he's a tough, like he's sort of an interesting guy to try to even figure out what to do with him. He's probably not going to make anyone's list, I would guess, but like the dude's got size and defense for days. Like he could,
like you're calling Drew Holiday fine and talk about OG Anunoby. Like maybe we got to move you on to the AFL here, Mears. I don't know if this NBA thing's going to work out, bro.
Drew would beat OG, but OG would beat Lou Williams.
Oh, we should do Lou Williams. Lou Williams is another fun one. I'll let you go first on why Lou Williams sucks.
I'll take that bet all day. Are we betting on Lou Williams versus OG?
Well, I'm not at that point. I'm more here to call like Moore's ranking of Lou Williams like extremely problematic. I mean, I think maybe 2 years ago.
Okay, you make it sound like I'm gonna get canceled for my Lou Williams take.
It's pretty bad. I mean, to rank him like at 24, and you know, I don't know how much Clippers basketball you've been watching this season, but Lou Williams.
Are you pulling the you haven't watched card on me?
He has not been good.
Like an anonymous Twitter egg? Come on, man.
He hasn't been great this season. I mean, it's father time. It's his age 33 season. I think you can make this argument like a year or two ago that he's up there and he's a bucket getter, but now he's, you know, hovering below 42%. He's 26th percentile in isolation among 45 players with a 25% usage rate. He's 42nd in effective field goal percentage. Like he's a volume scorer. Like he's the volume to a volume scorer. I get this format. He's one of the few guys who gets the biggest boost in a pickup basketball format. But ranking him above like Trae Young and some of these other guys who are just way more efficient and much than Lou Williams at this point in their careers is a little egregious to me, honestly.
I will support your Lou Williams take on the Trae Young thing because we watched the Lakers and LeBron go switch hunting strictly for Lou Williams. So the players know that they see red when they see Lou Williams because that's fresh meat. It's blood, right? Like that. He's a defensive liability when there's guys out there to help, let alone when he's on an island in a pickup game of one-on-one. So I get it, but it's hard for me to look past any time that he can get to that left hand. That ball's going up. You might as well wear it like a sign around his neck.
Yeah, but I could see how this plays out. I mean, you get like a decent wing. They match up against each other. The one time that the wing gets a stop, you just keep backing him down. Who's not going to get a stop? Like it's over. Like he's small and he has no chance.
Remember, we're not doing losers though. We're playing losers in the simulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's loser's ball, so it's going to go back and forth. I could see him hanging and extending it. Like a lot of it's also one of the reasons the players are always so much higher on guys that the analytic wonks are lower on is like I wanted to dig into this, so I asked a bunch of players about it, and they said it's shot creation. Like analytics dudes just don't realize how hard it is to create a shot in the NBA, how hard it is to actually get that shot up. It's why they have so much respect for Melo. It's why DeMar DeRozan, who I have really high, is in that same range. Like this is custom made for DeMar DeRozan. He's not facing.
Don't you think it's like apples and oranges a little bit because you're talking DDR and these other guys?
I don't because like
They're getting fine matchups defensively. Like Lou's playing second units. Lou's playing guys who are not a lot of second unit defenders are not very great. So the level of defensive attention he's getting, the level of defenders he's drawing on average is significantly worse than some of these star players.
But a lot of starters are also not high level one-on-one players. Like if it's Lou Williams versus PJ Tucker, you're taking Lou Will, right?
Of course.
Okay.
But I don't have PJ Tucker at 24. You have, I mean, that's not the argument here. The argument is, I mean, we have him at like what, 50, 40, 50, somewhere in that range. I think it's fair. He gets a boost in this environment, but not to the extent that you're thinking is kind of my contention.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, a lot of it, look, his downfall, I think, is what you're talking about with the age thing. Like that resonates with me. I'm giving him a lot of credit based off of his comfort zone and muscle memory in this specific format, but this is not like your position resonates with me where I'm like, maybe you're right. Like that.
Yeah,
I'm not like
Lou Will can still get buckets, but this dude is clearly on the downside of his career, and that's not.
I mean, look, it's complicated for me because I'm defending a lot of guys who I've actually been real like. I'm consistently low on DeRozan because I don't think he helps in a 5-on-5 NBA environment because we have a lot of evidence of that. I thought the Lou Williams contract for the Clippers was a bad move at the time because I was like, he's going to age out of this and he's going to be really rough. And one of the many reasons I hope we wind up having a postseason is I want to see whether they can keep him on the floor. Like the Clippers had great numbers defensively with Lou on the floor next to Paul George and Kawhi this year, so they could hide him. But you're right, in this environment, he can't hide. So it's entirely possible that he gets annihilated. So maybe I did have him too high.
Yeah, I think he wins every game in which he goes 11 for 11 shooting. Anything less than that.
He cannot get it home. He cannot stop anybody. He's not.
I mean, let's just be clear on this. Like, Lou Williams and Steph Curry is really like, I don't know who I would take there defensively. Like, because Steph's so much more physically limited. Lou is old and smaller, but Steph is just like tiny and like very like you can absolutely body Steph and you can body Lou as well. But like if we're going by that, then a lot of these guards and Trae Young falls in that category too. And then once we go down that road, we got to get to Kyrie. Like, is Kyrie going to be able to handle getting bodied at all?
Yeah, like Zion's giving these guys a concussion.
Kyrie, stop including Kyrie in your arguments. He's the biggest outlier in the world because he's the best one-on-one player, arguably, of all time. So it's a different story with him. I don't want to hear that name come off your lips unless we are in church.
I have a question for the group as we continue this. Who do we think in a matchup? Like, we haven't done the bracket yet. Who do we think in a matchup has a legit chance of beating LeBron? How many guys? Do we think Giannis can beat LeBron one-on-one?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Kawhi, we obviously think so. Durant, we obviously think so.
I think it's – I
No.
mean –
Harden can.
Harden?
Not Durant.
Okay, not Durant. We got three.
Harden
What do you
can.
guys think about Harden? Mears says Harden. Oh, Mears also says everyone that's over 6'10".
The problem is Harden doesn't have refs. So he's really going to have to empty the bag on someone like LeBron from the perimeter because he can't finish at the rim like any of these guys we're talking about. He can't dunk on LeBron the same way that a Giannis or a Simmons can.
But
right?
Harden can at least get hot from three. Like he can get a step back three better than anyone in the league. And let's talk about it. Threes are important in this game if you're talking just math. 3 divided by 2 is less than 2 divided by 1. Like when you're playing 1s and 2s versus 2s and 3s, a 2 is a lot more important than a 3 is to a 2. I don't know if that made sense at all. But I'm saying that the hitting a what we will call a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer in this game is much more important.
That's why I think like Steph and Trae are being undervalued, even though defensively.
I don't disagree with you, but I think that's the case for Harden too.
So that's actually a really good question, right? Is like, how many guys are going to be able to crowd Steph on a step back?
To support your guy's point, it's not 3 is greater than 2. 3 is 150% greater than 2. This is a game to 11 1s and 2s. It's twice the value of a 1. So it's 200%
We got a bunch of Goodwill Huntings in this room. I swear.
1.5x. It's yes, the math works out where threes are worth more in this format.
Twice as much in this format. So maybe I didn't think about that until this very moment, that twos are worth an extra 50% in this format. I do worry about those small guys being able to get them off.
Yeah,
right?
I think the problem is being able to get separation on those shots. And we're gonna, we'll see in the sims. I think that's gonna be a challenge too, with the way that the simulations are gonna influence that. I think is gonna be part of it too, because like the guys that can just rise up and fire are maybe in a better position. Like that's one thing that maybe is going for LeBron is, who's gonna be able to get up and really contest on that shot. Like Giannis can get the shot off, but he can't hit it. LeBron's big enough to be able to knock down those shots. So the guys that's where I think maybe the height does really factor in. If you're a tall shooter, I think that maybe matters, but it also depends on if they can get in from their dribble into that shot or not.
I also think Harden's being slept on a little bit defensively. I mean, the ISO numbers support that. The post defensive numbers support that. I just think a lot of it's, a lot of his bad reputation defensively is deserved to an extent where we see these clips of him standing around with his hands on his knees, not doing anything, but getting.
It's laziness. It's not physicality.
It's laziness. But when you put him in this setting where he's forced to D up, and it's one-on-one and the guy's coming right at him, I think defensively you'll find out that he's not nearly as bad as kind of his rep dictates.
Harden was at the top of the league last season in deflections, if I'm not mistaken. Like the guy's got defensive ability. It's just a matter of if he wants to use it in a game of one-on-one. Maybe it's because he was relying on Capella and PJ Tucker in real games when he was able to get his hands in there and things. But I've always thought he was a decent one-on-one defender, the same way that I thought Carmelo Anthony was always a good on-ball defender. It was just the team defense Carmelo was not great at. But if you tried to back Carmelo down and brought him out to the perimeter, I was never worried about him. He always had this stigma and reputation about him, and Harden is very similar in that aspect. His one-on-one on-ball capabilities are there. But this is a team sport, not this exercise. This experiment is one-on-one. So I think Harden's defense would extrapolate a little bit in his favor.
And he's so crafty. We got Peter Jennings, aka CSU Ram, in the chat. He says, and this is the last question I want to ask before we leave. He says, Harden is the nuts, most underrated. Harden is better than Giannis in this format. Pete coming with the strong take here. So that's what I want to ask. Most underrated, either by us or by the public, however you want to frame that question. I'll go first. Mine is TJ Warren. I have him top 25 in this format, which I know people probably wouldn't even have him in their top 64. But we're talking a guy who has length, physicality. Dude's an absolute bucket getter. Just amazing guy in terms of getting his shot. We're talking shot creation, efficient around the rim. Matt, you wrote a piece about him a couple of days ago, how awesome he is around the rim with his athleticism. He's got the size to be able to hang with all types of matchups. If we're looking for like wings, TJ Warren, I think, super underrated. He's top 25. Matt, underrated before we leave.
I'll take DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
Everybody has him in the 20s. I've got him in that 6th because I just think that this is where DeMar is made. Like, this is exactly where DeMar's entire game comes from. He grew up idolizing Kobe when he was living in Southern California. He is able to get his shot whenever he needs it. He's comfortable in the post. I think his defense is obviously horrible in an NBA context. One-on-one versus most of the players that he'll be going with, he'll either be decent or at much of a disadvantage as most of the guys are versus larger opponents. So I really think DDR is being overlooked here.
TJ Warren, DDR, J-Fan, most underrated. You're on mute.
Relative to what Wob and Matt have, I think Chris Middleton just being massively disrespected here.
Preach.
I mean, in the games that Giannis has missed, he's dominated and still been extremely efficient. I think people don't give Middleton's ISO game enough respect. I mean, he's been dominant in the mid-range. He's a tough shot maker. Like, this dude consistently outperforms. This season especially, his expected field goal percentage. He hits tough shots. He's been able to carry the load. 29 points per game on 47% shooting in the 7 games that Giannis has missed this season. He's been able to be that guy, and to see him ranked 51 is kind of really surprising to me when this is an all-star who should be given the proper respect. He should be, closer to 25 than he is 40.
Wow.
Keep it short and simple. I'm sticking with Ben Simmons here because I truly don't believe that a single player in the NBA, other than maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo, that if Ben Simmons gets the ball outside the three-point line and starts running, that can stop him on a drive. Whether he's hitting you with a euro, a drop step, or just challenging you at the rim, I think he has too much skill and physical ability to finish. And because of that, there's no help. This is a game of one-on-one. There's going to be plenty of space, and all that man needs is space to dominate.
Cool. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We have a lot of content. Go check out our rankings. Tweet at us what we got wrong, where we're stupid at. We're going to be back Thursday night around this time for a show where we reveal the bracket, and then games are going to start on Saturday. But come hang out with us Thursday night. We're going to be giving away we're going to have some prop contests that you guys can join where we'll have some money and some swag and stuff like that. So should be fun. So we'll get out some more information on Twitter then. But thank you guys. See ya.